Today we're going to be talking about Porto and Chelsea. Starting with Porto, as you can see, they have a 4-4-2 formation, at least on paper. Let's look at their lineup. We got Marquezin in net, Sanusi here in the center back positions. We got Pepe and Memba. We got Manafa on the right side. Right winger would be Corona. In the mid, you got Oliveira and Uribe. On the left wing, we have Otavio. And the two strong center forwards would be Taremi over here and Marega. So that's their usual formation. So with Porto, they heavily emphasize on defending and transition, especially against the teams that they will face in Champions League. They're always seen as an underdog or a dark horse. So against Juventus, we typically saw them going backwards out of possession. And what they would do is they would tuck one of the fullbacks as a 3-back and then push even the winger to make a 5-back. And then they would probably have something like this, or they might just have Soul Striker over here just cutting off the passing lane like so. So that's basically how they would defend. In terms of these spaces will be a pressing trigger, meaning when the ball is received here by the opponent, they would close that space in and try to win the ball and counter right away. Also, if the ball gets played in these areas, they will do the same. And this is where the discipline and organization comes in handy for Porto, because they shift the structure really nicely and they move and switch positions in transition, defending. They would be very flexible with that, but it also works with them. So for Porto, they are all about defending, and it's basically defend at all costs. I think one time I even saw like 8 players at the defensive line, which is pretty unique, but it happens. So in terms of progressing from the back, they typically go with the long balls. You got Marega and Taremi. They're very strong and they're physically pretty big. So when they put the long balls in, they have high percentage on winning the balls. So it's very like 4-4-2 kind of system, but also they would counter press right away if they do not win the ball and try to play out where they have a lot of space over here. So long balls are a repertoire for them. It's not unusual. Another thing that they would do is they would drop Oliveira down and push these players up like this. And because Oliveira has a very he's basically the creative spark for Porto, and his passing ability is amazing, so he can send the ball and create something on his own. Another thing they can do is they can push the center mid like so and shift the players in like that. And if Sanusi has the ball, he can put the ball straight down the line and play this player. And if he doesn't win the ball, they would counter press right away. So counter pressing is very big for them, and it's one of their repertoires. Another thing that they can do, which I'm not going to explain it with the icons and the board, is their set pieces. You have Pepe and you got other physically well-rounded players that can win headers and second balls and things like that inside the opponent's box. When it's corner kicks, free kicks. Sometimes I even saw like Pepe make his way down here, and you would have a defender here and they would make throw-ins to Pepe. Just like corner kicks, he would come to help out with that situation. So very creative team and exciting. They're the dark horse, so we'll see how they play out in the Champions League quarterfinals. So moving on, we're going to be looking at Chelsea's team now. They have a 3-4-3 system, which is a little bit different than the other teams. So The lineup will be Mendy in goal. We have Rudiger or Zuma, Christensen, and if Thiago Silva is fit enough, he can play there as well. Azpilicueta here. Reece James or Hudson-Odoi on the right wingback position. Conte, Kovacic, and Jorginho in this position. Alonso, Chilwell. I think Mount will probably play here, but Werner can play in this position, and we saw that in few games. In the center forward position, you can have either Havertz, Werner, Tammy Abraham, or Giroud. On the right wing forward position, you can have Pulisic and Ziyech. So this is probably how they would shape their team. As you probably noticed that they have a very deep squad and a lot of qualities and different qualities, which means that Tuchel has a choice of playing in different system depending on what kind of players that he puts on the field. So how they would usually play would be they can play the long balls. They have various different ways to penetrate the opponents. If this is Havertz has a special role. He now became a false nine. He would drop, help out in the mid, and try to penetrate through that. And then if they are successful, the wing backs can push high, and they have a numerical advantage of 4 people, and they can attack like that. If this is Giroud, they can play the long ball, try to win the aerial duels, go for the second balls with the midfielders, and try to transition. They can do that. Another way is because they have 3 players here, they don't necessarily have to have the midfield too low, I would say. I think 1 player might be sufficient, and in that case, when the team tries to press them, they would have some of the players open for a long ball or penetrative passes into the corridors and then play out through the middle. And that's probably what Tuchel wants the most. And because Havertz can come down here as well, he can give another option for the progression of the play. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that there's a clear divide in the orientation of the team. I would say there's like the defensive end and then the offensive end. What I mean by that is, let's say the ball gets progressed and they're in these kind of situation in possession. Because the wing backs are used heavily with attack, they really need more numbers in defense. If they get transition, it will be very hard to defend with just 3 players. So Tuchel basically ordered these 2 players to help the back 3. So you wouldn't see these players ordinarily making runs inside the box or anything. If they do, then they would need a cover like that. So that's how they would set up